In these really specialized fields like neurosurgery, things are moving so incredibly fast. Innovation feels like it's on hyperdrive. And the challenge, I think, isn't just keeping pace, but actually leading. How do you carve out a space, something sustainable? Especially when you're working with, well, the human brain. It's incredibly intricate. So today we're doing a deep dive specifically for you, Dr. Haidar. You've got this unique combination, neurosurgeon and anatomist. That's quite rare. And you have this really compelling vision, bridging neurosurgical videos, anatomical landmarks, and AI. It's where the surgeon's practical insight meets the anatomist's detailed knowledge.
Exactly. It's a crucial intersection.
Yeah, and it puts you in a really indispensable position. A busy surgeon probably doesn't have the bandwidth for this level of detail, and a pure anatomist might lack the surgical context.
Precisely. So our mission today is practical. How do you actually create activities and, maybe more importantly, revenue streams for your university to make this ambitious project sustainable? We want to explore how you build that neurosurgical operative lab for machine learning, planning, simulation, making it a go-to teaching center.
And crucially, securing your role in that ongoing process of teaching the AI, feeding it new data.
Right. It's a continuous loop.
Okay, so we've looked into this and sketched out a blueprint, really a phased roadmap to make it happen. Let's dive in. So phase one, Where do you even begin? It seems daunting. Starting small seems key.
Absolutely. The first step, the blueprint really suggests this, is a focused, high-impact pilot project. Keep it local, within your teaching hospital. Don't try to boil the ocean. Focus on processing just a handful of really well-annotated surgical videos.
Okay, just a few to start.
Yeah. Build one basic machine learning model. Maybe it's for autonomous robotics, maybe surgeon training simulation, something concrete.
Right, limited scope for efficiency.
It's strategic. It helps you use resources wisely, show results quickly, and avoid getting, bogged down early on. That proof of concept is vital.
Makes total sense. Prove it, then scale it. But who do you need on that initial team? Even small projects need people.
Good question. The smart move is to leverage who you already have, keep costs down initially. So a lean core team.
Existing hospital staff.
Yeah. Surgeons, obviously. Residents are often eager. Nurses bring in valuable operative insight. And you'll likely have data specialists somewhere in IT or research.
And your role here, Dr. Haidar, is the surgical anatomy expert.
Oh, it's absolutely critical. Irreplaceable, really, from day one. You're the one guiding the annotation, ensuring the anatomical accuracy isn't just right, but surgically relevant.
Okay. It's not just naming parts, it's understanding their significance during surgery.
Exactly. That's your unique value proposition, and it directly helps secure your central position from the get-go. Nobody else brings that specific combination of skills.
Okay, let's talk tools, the nitty-gritty. How do you go from raw video to something an AI can learn from?
Right. You'd start with standard video editing, just selecting keyframes, the important moments. Then you move to annotation tools.
Like Label Studio or CVAT.
Precisely. Those are good open source options. You'd use them to add detailed labels marking blood vessels, nerves, tumor margins, whatever's critical. That's where your anatomical precision is key.
So you're essentially creating the textbook for the AI, frame by frame.
In a way, yes. A very detailed, dynamic textbook. This high-quality annotated data then gets fed into machine learning pipelines.
Using frameworks like TensorFlow or PyTorch.
Exactly. Those are the powerful toolkits for building and training the AI models.
So what's the tangible outcome of phase one? What do you actually show people?
The deliverable is a clear demonstration, showing the whole process end to end. Look, here's how our expert annotation leads to model training, and here's a basic predictive output.
Like the model identifying a landmark on its own.
Yeah, or suggesting a safe corridor, something concrete. This proof of concept isn't just technical, it's your foundation. It shows potential funders, it's feasible, you've got a working pipeline, you've de-risked it somewhat.
Right, that aha moment. Okay, so you got that proof. Now, the big question, money. How do you get seed funding to keep this going?
Okay, phase two, funding and early validation. First stop, look internally. Apply for those departmental innovation or pilot grants.
The smaller ones, like $5,000 to $20,000.
Exactly. They seem small, but they're perfect for covering things like software licenses, HOROs, 3D slicer for image viewing.
Cloud computing time. Maybe some part-time data help.
Precisely. And importantly, it shows your institution is backing you. Internal buy-in is a great signal.
Good point. What about support that isn't cash? in-kind resources.
Oh, absolutely critical. You need to talk to hospital admin, negotiate for things like workstation time in a lab. IT support managing big data isn't trivial, and definitely access to existing surgical video archives.
Those archives must be a goldmine of data.
Huge potential. Saves enormous time and cost. And highlighting your unique skill in annotating that specific data, extracting its anatomical value, that's a strong negotiating point.
Okay, so internal grants, in-kind support, then the bigger fish.
Yeah.
External grants. How do you leverage that pilot data effectively?
That pilot data is your golden ticket. The annotation accuracy, the initial model performance, that's what you showcase. For government funding in the U.S., think NIH R21 grants they're designed for exploratory developmental projects like this. Or SBIR grants, if you're leaning towards translation, getting it into practice.
And Europe?
Look at Horizon Europe calls, especially those focused on digital health, AI, and surgery. Plus, don't forget professional societies and foundations.
A&S, yes. Disease-specific charities.
Yes, exactly. They're all interested in funding work that directly impacts patient care and surgical practice.
When you're writing these grant applications, what's the key message? How do you make your project stand out?
You have to hammer home the clinical impact. Be specific. How does this save time in preoperative planning? How does it reduce the sheer effort of annotation for future work? And most importantly, the potential for better surgical outcomes. Safer procedures, more precision.
And this is where your unique anatomical insight, Dr. Haydar, becomes central to the pitch.
Absolutely. You're the one who can articulate why precise anatomical understanding translated through AI leads to these benefits. You connect the data dots to the patient outcomes. That reinforces your critical role.
How do you build credibility beyond just the grant reviewers in the wider community?
Publish and present. Get your work out there. Submit abstracts to big conferences. ANS annual meeting, MICCAI is a major one for imaging and AI in medicine.
Increase visibility, attract collaborators.
Exactly. And aim for a peer-reviewed methods paper. Detailing your annotation to model pipeline, that's a strong statement. It says, we know what we're doing, here's how, and it bolsters every future grant application.
Okay, so proof of concept is solid, initial funding is flowing, you're getting the word out. What's the next strategic leap for expansion and, crucially, for building that sustainable teaching center?
Right. Phase 3 is about strategic industry partnerships. As the project matures, it's time to reach out. Think about companies in the medical device space, simulation companies. Names like Upsurgeon, BrainLab, Philips Healthcare come to mind. They're deeply invested in this area.
And what's the value proposition for them? What can you offer, Dr. Haydar, that makes them want to partner up?
You can offer co-development opportunities, maybe specialized modules like highly realistic 3D printed simulators for specific procedures, like craniotomies.
Using your anatomical data.
Precisely. They get access to your unique, real-world surgical video data sets, plus your expert annotations. That's incredibly valuable for them to develop and validate their own AI and simulation tools.
So they get curated data, validation benchmarks.
Yeah, and potentially co-branding opportunities, shared benchmarks. It's mutually beneficial.
How does this work financially? Is it just about sharing resources?
Often it involves sponsored research agreements, SRAs. These are formal partnerships. The company might provide in-kind support software, hardware for your lab, and often some cash support too, maybe in the range of, say, $25,000 to $100,000.
And what do they get in return?
Typically, non-exclusive rights to improvements or innovations that come out of the collaboration. You still own the core IP, but they can use the developments.
And you'd set joint milestones.
Definitely. Things like releasing specific annotated data sets, developing model prototypes, maybe integrating your tools into their workflow, clear goals, clear deliverables.
Okay, this next phase, phase 4, really seems to hit the core of your goal, Dr. Haydar. Creating that sustainable revenue-generating teaching hub, maybe with a global reach, especially for international students. How does that take shape?
Right, this is about scaling and long-term sustainability. First, you need bigger funding for broader impact. Think NIH R01s in the US, or equivalent large grants elsewhere. This lets you expand to multi-center data sets, really robust clinical validation across different settings.
Makes sense. What about other funding sources?
Look into venture philanthropy. Foundations like CIMMIT or Inspired MD, they specifically fund healthcare innovations that are scalable and have a clear path to market and patient impact.
Okay, funding secured. Now, the actual revenue generation. How does your expertise translate directly into income for the center?
This is where your surgical anatomy knowledge becomes a sellable service. You can offer custom 3D modeling and surgical planning support.
To other surgeons.
Or hospitals.
Exactly, for a fee.
Right.
You take their patient scans, apply your expert anatomical interpretation, and create highly personalized 3D models and plans. It directly monetizes your unique skill set. You become the go-to consultant.
That's a clear clinical service. What about the teaching aspect, building that hub?
This is absolutely central. Develop robust educational courses. Think paid online workshops. Think innovative lab-in-a-box training packages.
Combining VR and physical simulation, like Upsurgeon does. Yeah, models like that. Combine the digital and the physical, and crucially, target international students specifically. There's huge global demand for advanced neurosurgical training, especially with AI and robotics coming in.
And your anatomical expertise is the key differentiator for these courses.
It's the core selling point. Your deep understanding of surgical anatomy, how it guides decisions in real time, informed by AI insights, that's what makes your courses unique and valuable. You become the primary expert securing your position. And remember, teaching AI is ongoing, so your courses will constantly evolve with the latest data and model refinements, keeping them cutting edge.
What about the AI models themselves? Can they generate revenue directly?
Absolutely. You can license your trained models, the annotation models, the prediction models to medtech companies.
Subscription or royalty basis?
Yeah, something like that. They integrate your validated AI into their platforms. It becomes another income stream for your center, expanding your impact while generating revenue.
This sounds like it's building towards something bigger than just individual projects or courses.
Exactly. The long-term vision here, Dr. Haidar, is establishing a formal center of excellence, a dedicated neurosurgical data analytics and simulation center at your institution.
The Sustainable Teaching Hub.
Precisely. Funded through that mix. Clinical service revenue, grants, industry partnerships, a resilient model, attracting talent, students, collaborators from around the world.
And how do you measure success for this center, especially on the teaching side? What metrics matter?
You track clinical impact, sure number of surgeries planned, time saved. But for the Teaching Hub, focus on trainee proficiency.
Objective metrics.
Yes.
Yeah.
Use your training modules to gather data, show demonstrable improvements in skills and decision-making, link it back to your curriculum.
Well, you prove the educational value directly.
Powerfully. It underscores the value of your courses and fundamentally the value of your anatomical expertise driving that education. Your leadership and curriculum design, grounded in that deep anatomical knowledge, is key.
It really sounds like your specific expertise, Dr. Haidar, is the thread tying this whole complex multidisciplinary effort together, from the first video annotation
all the way to certifying a trainee on a complex simulated procedure. Absolutely. You need that close alignment with the surgeons using the tools, the data scientists building them, the educators designing the training.
And your surgical anatomical perspective provides that essential clinical relevance.
It's the foundation. It's the why behind the technology. It ensures the innovation isn't just clever, but actually meaningful for surgeons and ultimately for patients. It makes you the indispensable architect.
So wrapping this up, what's the takeaway for you, Dr. Haidar? We've laid out this phased approach. Start small, prove the concept with a pilot, leverage that success for seed funding, engage industry strategically, and then scale up into that sustainable teaching center.
Yeah, by following these stages, you're not just funding a project. You're building a transformative platform, clinical and educational. And crucially, you're cementing your position right at the heart of it, driven by your unique anatomical expertise. This isn't just about one project lifecycle. It's about building a lasting legacy, a vital hub for neurosurgical innovation and education.
You know, this whole deep dive really highlights something interesting. In an age where AI is becoming so powerful, fundamental human expertise, like your deep anatomical knowledge, actually becomes more critical, not less. It really poses a final thought for you, Dr. Haidar, and maybe for everyone listening. As AI continues to weed itself into surgery and training, how do experts like you keep bridging that gap, connecting the cutting-edge tech with that foundational human understanding, ensuring innovation truly serves patients and elevates education worldwide?